So Bogey, you had the final word when you sent me on my way. But you cannot stop a beating heart on a bright, warm summer's day.
And when I look into the eyes of the small one at my side, oh, I see the face of the handsome lad who took me by surprise.
One summer's day in Huntley Town, 'twas there I did agree.
We're going to jump right into a second tune, but I usually don't introduce this very much, but because there's some special people here tonight. Ken's daughter and the grandchildren are here tonight visiting from Phoenix, and we have a little story to tell you about the next tune. Christopher and Veronica, when they were little, used to come up and visit us in Montana. We used to live in Montana till a year and a half ago. And when they came up one summer, we took them horseback riding up in the mountains, and Grandpa Ken of the whole group got Sherman. Now, picture Sherman, great big gray horse. In his day and heyday and glory, he was probably just fantastic. But he'd had a little encounter with becoming less manly. And what that made Sherman do was go really slow. So the rest of us were all, doing our thing and going along, and then we'd have to wait for Ken and Sherman. And he was doing everything, kicking, slapping.
There was nothing that could be done.
Yeah, so I wrote this little jig. The first part is a jig, which is a 6/8 time, and that is a type of dance done in Ireland. And I took the same tune then, and I turned it into a reel, kind of a slower reel, because eventually when Sherman realized we were heading back, he got faster.
I'm in front at the end, yeah.
So the first part is Sherman's jig, and the second part is Ken's way. There you go. So you'll remember this, Christopher. I had heard this song before, and it never struck me as something I wanted to do, and I think it's because I had never heard the woman's version of it. Outside the palace of Holyrood Palace in Edinburgh, there's a place called Duddingston Village, and near Duddingston Village are some freshwater pools called the Wells of Weary. They're not wells at all, they're actually just little side eddies where the river comes past, and for centuries it's been a safe place for the peasantry to do their laundry, the local laundromat as it were. And they would go there to do their laundry. Of course, this wouldn't be the people in the palace. These would be the local peasants. And there were many different spooky stories about it being haunted. And I'd heard this song before, done from the version where an elf knight charms the king's daughter, gets her to the well, and drowns her there. And it was just way over the top morose. I mean, I do morose songs, but that was a little too much. So, but last spring when I was working with these lovely women, they had a version of this song where the woman wins. So I said, okay, now that's the song I've got to do. So we're going to do that version of the Wells of Weary. When the elf knight talks about ringing the common bell, that was a way of sounding alarm. So that would be like our little local fire alarm system sort of a thing. You'd ring the bell and everyone would gather together. So that's what the common bell is all about. And then we're going to play a lovely little slip jig at the end. Now remember I said the tunes are for dancing. The slip jig is traditionally done by only women. It's a very light, airy dance. They wear soft shoes or no shoes, and it's very light. They leap high into the air. And for those of you who are musicians, you want to count along, a slip jig is in 9/8. So you'll be counting to 9. For those of us Westerners, we feel like we've just lost a wheel and we don't know what to do with that. But if you can envision a lovely little Irish lass leaping across the stage, Kenny might be able to just jump in with that one. I'm not sure. So we'll finish up the song with a lovely slip jig called Fig for a Kiss. There came a bird out of a bush on water for to dine, and sighing said, "This lady fair, oh, woe's this heart of mine." So he's ta'en a harp into his hands, and he's harped them all asleep, except it was the king's daughter who could not get a wing. So he's mounted on his berry brown steed, ta'en her behind himself, and on they rode to that water that they call Weary's Well.
Wide in, my lady fair, nay harm shall ye befall. For oft times have I watered my steed at the water of Weary's Well.
And the very first step that she stepped in unto the knee, and sighing said, "This lady fair, this water's nae for me."
Wide in, my lady fair, nay harm shall ye befall. For oft times have I watered my steed at the water of Weary's Well.
And the very next step that she stepped in unto the chin, and crying said, "This lady fair, I fear I'm too far in."
7 kings' daughters have I drowned here at the water of Weary's Well, and I'll make you the 8th of them, and I'll ring the common bell.
If I here, she said, this doughy death to die. A kiss from all your comely lips, I'm sure would comfort me. So he's mounted o'er his saddle bow to kiss her cheek and chin, and she's ta'en him in her arms twa, and she has thrown him headlong in. 7 kings' daughters have he drowned here at the water of Weary's Well, and I'll make you bridegroom to them all, and I'll ring the bell myself, and I'll ring the bell myself. Thank you. This is called Adders in the Heather.
Preparation is everything. If you ever get a chance, go to the shores of Lake Michigan, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and go in third week of August and just hang out there with 130,000 other Irishmen. It's an amazing thing to do. Well, they had a songwriting contest open to professionals and amateurs worldwide, and they called Kim up before the contest, and she'd put the 2 songs in. They called her up. They said, Kim, one of your songs won first place. She said, a great songwriter. Well, one of your songs won first place. And then I said, but sorry about your second song. You know, it only won second place. So she swept the top 2. So she's a great songwriter. Yes, exactly. And we're going to do one of those songs. And actually, I guess you can wait and tell that story later. Well.
The interesting thing was that year, do you remember what I was talking about, the melancholy theme? Both of these the songs were very, very sad. And last year I entered a song that was happy and I didn't even place. This year I entered a song that was had another theme going. It's not necessarily overly sad. It's a lot less sad than the other 2. So it only got second place. So the equation you need to know if you're going to enter songs into an Irish songwriting contest is sad. Sad, 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 you're in. That's just all there is to that. Well, Virginia had asked us if we would do this tonight as well. This one was the one that actually took second place, and the story behind it comes from the west of Ireland, particularly in Connemara and Kerry, where there are places where there are single growing trees growing out away, because there are no natural growing trees left there. They were felled in the Stone and Bronze Age. So it's very open. And you'll see plantations of trees now, but that's not natural. That's been planted by the government. But every now and then you're out and about and you see a single tree. And my first visit over, years and years and years ago, I asked what those were about, because obviously they had been planted. They were called Lost Souls Burial Grounds. Now, there's 3 different kinds of burials in Ireland. There's the burials in the churchyards for the people in good standing with enough money to do so. There are the paupers' burial grounds, which are the places where the people are buried who are in good standing of the church but don't have the money to be put in the regular churchyard or a headstone. And then there's the Lost Souls Burial Grounds, and these are the people who were not allowed ever to be recognized by the church or in the graveyards. So there would be a lot of stories, a lot of reasons for that, but you have to talk to the locals because there's no records kept and there's no markers. So the only way you know who's there or why is to find out from the family members themselves. So they're pretty powerful places, lots of different stories. Stories kept coming to me through the course of the years I was going there and finding these places. And in fact, the piper that plays on the track, on our CD, we have a wonderful piper from Kerry, and they called from the recording studio to tell us that none of them could get through the song because every one of them have someone in a Lost Souls burial ground. So it's a pretty powerful story even still. And when I got to Milwaukee, the Irish judges came to me and said, we really wanted this one to win. So this one's dear to my heart. It's called One Lone Rowan Tree. Marking the tinker's sleep within the valley low. No more will he wander the hills so free, but these roots can't hold his soul. Oh, the gates were barred to the hallowed land, and they would not let him in. Oh, dear rowan tree, unkept and free, you and the wind will be his home. One rowan tree, piercing the lover's grave of a bitter death does tell. How her passion burned until the priest did learn and condemned her soul to hell. Oh, the gates were barred to the hallowed yard, So you have to learn them from traditional players and hear them over and over and over. Well, in the old times, and even still, you would learn your tune by ear, then you'd learn to sing your tune, and then you'd put your tune on your instrument. The other reason it's very important is there were periods of time in the history of both countries when their native instruments were illegal, as it were, and they weren't allowed to have them. They were smashed and burned and taken away from them. And if they wanted to have the music, if they wanted to dance, they would use a local singer. They would invite a singer over to sing the tunes all night long. And so there's some really fabulous mouth music history still there. There are still All-Ireland Championships for mouth music or lilting. Fabulous singers. The words don't mean anything. They're nonsense vocables. They're just a way to match the words, that match the voice with the tune, the lilt of the tune. Sometimes there'll be a Gaelic word thrown in, but for the most part, it's just vocables. And this will be a sing-along. This is where you participate. You've been way too quiet. This is where you get to sing along with us, okay? So here's your part. Kumbaya. No, I'm just
Head
kidding.
for the door!
Just kidding. Your part goes like this. Da-da-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da. Da-da-diddle-a-ma-dee-da-da-diddle-a-ma-dee-da-da-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da.
Okay, now head for the door. Yeah.
Now, we've had people tell us that's really silly. Why did they do that? And I said, we are the culture who invented do-wah-diddy-diddy. So come on, you know. I mean, we have our own silly stuff. So we're going to finish up with this, take a short break, and we'll be right back. I have to scoot up, yeah?
Skin the goat and trim the hide. Spread lime on the hairy side. Submerge in a flowing tide till it's ready to stretch wide. All around a wooden rim. Tack an inch of goat skin trim. It's ready to be played. It's time for music to be made. The rhythmic sound of the baron drives the dancers round and round. Motion of their whirling feet, skipping to the ancient beat, yeah. Die-diddle-a-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-a-dee-dum-da. Roll back the carpets, deck the chairs, keep the children up the stairs, pile the pudgeen and the porter, fill the house with songs and laughter, play the music loud and long, through the night and through the dawn, the players just keep driving on, to the beat of the age-old drum. The rhythmic sound of the baron drives the dancers round and round, motion of their whirling feet, skipping to the ancient beat, yeah. Die-diddle-a-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-da. You don't need a bowrin. Okay, here we go, everybody. Keep it going, keep it going. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, 28 minutes. Don't stop, don't stop. Die-diddle-a-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-dee-dum-da, die-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-die, diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-a-diddle-a-ma-dee-dum-da. The rhythmic sound of the baron drives the dancers round and round, motion of their whirling feet, skipping to the ancient beat, yeah.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Thanks very much.